Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today for Wednesday, May 21st. It's Alissa Coram here, and a sell off sparked by spiking bond yields. We'll discuss more. My colleague Ken Shreve joining me now to help us unfold what went down in the major indexes today. Hey, Ken.
Yes, indeed. Hey there, Ali. Want to take a look at three stocks that we've discussed off and on in recent weeks here. Let's take a look at DoorDash. Also, Nvidia, which tried to move today but got pulled down with the broad market. And finally, gold stocks look like they have a lot of renewed luster here. So let's take a look at AEM, which we put back on leaderboard today.
Okay, we will take a look at those stocks, but first, let's analyze the action for the major indexes today. The first notable down day here, Ken, in weeks, with the Nasdaq down 1.4% by session's close. Harder hit was the S&P 500 down 1.6% on the day. Definitely stands out on the chart there. The Dow down 1.9%, and small caps, of course, with rising yields, hit the hardest here, Ken, down about 2.6% or so. So, a pretty notable down day here. But putting this into perspective, we've had a pretty incredible ascent since late April over the last month. The last month has been just fantastic. Finally had a down day.
Yeah, and listen, we've been talking about the April 22nd follow-through day on the Nasdaq, and I probably jinxed it in last night's big picture column when I said that the index had now gone 20 sessions since April 22nd without a distribution day. That's quite a
Jinxed
quite a
us.
long run, but yeah, so we got a pretty sharp distribution day today. Big percentage decline in higher volume, but that's only the first one that we've seen on the Nasdaq, and as you can see, it's holding the 10-day moving average. So if you look at oscillators, stochastics, we're definitely looking at a market that's been overbought for a little while here. Yeah, and you can pull that right up on the so you can see where we're up near highs. In the past, where we've been overbought, we can kind of stay up there for a little while before things give way. But just important to note that we're in an overbought market, and so we came in, found support at the 10-day line. But if you look at since April 22nd, there really has been no consolidation at all
Yeah.
in the Nasdaq. It was a little 2-day consolidation, another 2-day consolidation, and then a little tiny consolidation up where we currently are. So tough day. Don't like to see higher volume behind big percentage declines, but it's only the first distribution day we've seen on the Nasdaq, and certainly haven't seen meaningful sell signals yet by any means in some of the big leaders.
Right. If you pay attention to market technicals, you had to expect some sort of down day like this had to be brewing at some point. As you mentioned, just the streak that we've had without distribution days. It's been a stellar performance over the last month from the indexes here. So, where does this leave us? Does that mean with this outside day, downside reversal, could we see more weakness? We definitely could, but we also have been in a power trend. And so when you do have this powerful trending market like we've had, that's usually the time that you want to try to let your winners run. But of course, when you do get pullbacks, that can be time to lock in some profits, wait for new setups as well. But it seems like it's too early, Ken, to just totally dislodge winning positions that have been developed over those last couple of weeks.
Exactly. If for people that bought right on or around the follow through day, again, we added a lot of names to the leaderboard portfolio. We had the follow through day on April 22nd. we put a lot of names on the 24th, the 25th, the 26th, and those stocks still look fine. They're holding above most are still holding above short-term support levels. I think tomorrow's going to be very important. How is the market going to respond to this distribution day? Are we going to rally back in light volume? Are we going to get some follow-on selling?
Mhm.
That could result in a break of the 10-day line. And if there's a decisive break of the 10-day line, then obviously we're looking at a possible test of the 200-day line. So we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think
Mhm.
tomorrow's going to be very important to see how the Nasdaq and S&P 500 respond to these higher volume declines today.
It sure will. So the Nasdaq undercutting its recent tight area. Looking at the S&P 500, which has arguably been even stronger, even fewer down days as of late. Also undercutting the lows from the last couple of trading days. It looks like it closed just a hair uh, below that 200, or sorry, that 10-day moving average. It's about 1.4% above the 200-day line, but still seems pretty strong. We've been wanting more handles to develop. Been seeing these, like the market, deep bases with these little itty bitty handles forming. So maybe we'll start to see some real shakeouts out there for charts that'll start to develop.
Yeah, and I think we spoke just on yesterday's show about the number of stocks that have rounded out the right side of these bases. Yet they've run up. In some cases, they've doubled off their lows, and they're back up near all-time highs. But man, it's been just such a strong move off lows. We were wondering if they were going to pause. So today, a lot of these cut bases, got the pause we were looking for. So there's still a lot of good setups out there, and one day of weakness is not going to break an uptrend. You want to pay attention to distribution days when they pop up, and if they start to cluster, if we start to see them, occur frequently over a short amount of time, that's going to be our sign to, start playing some defense and maybe take some gains in some of these big winners since April 22nd.
Absolutely. And I think in thinking of the power trend here, the other thing that would be great to see and what we've seen from past power trends, the ones that work, are that you can trust the pullbacks and you can see these bounces off of the 21-day or around that level. And that's a great time to be making buys that are aligned with where the market phase is. So hopefully, over the next couple of days, we can get that 21-day line to catch up on both the Nasdaq and the S&P. And I would love to see a bounce off of that level or around that level. And it'll be fascinating to see what individual leading stocks look like if and when that happens.
Yeah, we definitely took some defensive measures today, especially with some new names that we added that really hadn't made a whole lot of progress. So we were pretty heavily invested headed into today. Headed into today, we're still in that 80 to 100% band that we are recommending at this point, but we did lower exposure a little bit, just cut some dead weight loose. I did want
Mhm.
to talk about the 10-year Treasury yield
Yes,
because
please.
the selling in the stock market, even if we could see the huge
Mhm.
move, really a breakout today for that 10-year yield, trading up around 4.60%. It was up 11, 12 basis points on the day. Okay, so we see spiking bond yields. Let's go back to the S&P 500 and just pull up an intraday chart, and you can see where the selling started to pick up the pace just after 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and this is the time exactly when bond yields started to spike. So we've got, President Trump's tax and immigration budget bill that's trying to make its way through Capitol Hill. There's pretty pretty obvious that it is going to be adding to the already huge deficit that we have. So that was a reason why yields spiked. Then there was another bit of news that came out right around 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. That's when a White House official said that the Trump administration is going to, it really wants to keep these chip curbs to China in place, and there's not going to be any leeway. And the market might have taken that as a negative because Nvidia was up sharply, Broadcom was up sharply, but then Jensen Huang has been the CEO of Nvidia has been pretty verbal about that these chip restrictions, should be pulled back. So it looks like the Trump administration and Jensen Huang are a little bit of disagreement, but that was sort of around the time the market started to sell off, and when you started to see a lot of semiconductor stocks come hard off highs.
Mhm. Also, an auction, right?
That was right. There was a
Mhm.
20-year auction of 20-year bonds where demand was quite weak, and that fueled a lot of selling in the bond market today. And there have been times in the past where the market, it was like what our news editor Ed Carson said recently. Rising bond yields matter when they matter. Sometimes the market doesn't pay attention to them. Market has shown in the past, though, that rising interest rates is typically not friendly, to a healthy stock market. So if we see these yields stay sticky up here and even more strength, that's probably not going to be good news for stocks.
Yeah. We're absolutely keeping an eye on this. Okay. Let's also quickly take a look at gold. We've seen now a 3-day win streak, GLD up another 0.8% for the day, making the weekly gain now 4% as it bounces off of the 10-week, Ken.
Yeah, this to me looks like maybe a second test of the 10-week line, maybe debatable, but it's not that far stretched from the 10 weeks. So if you don't have any gold exposure, I don't think you're chasing GLD if you were to buy it here. It's just another early test of the 10-week line here. Saw a lot of outperformance in gold stocks today. Many after they broke through their 50-day moving averages and flashed some sell signals. They're right back above this support level, and a lot of them look actionable here.
Hmm. Okay. Ready to move on to the individual stocks, Ken?
Sure. Just I wanted to just mention IBIT, which Bitcoin
Okay.
hit a new high today, got close to 110,000 Bitcoin itself, and this is the iShares Bitcoin Trust trying to break out of a very long consolidation here. Actually hit an all-time high today, so Bitcoin doing quite well despite the
Yeah.
weak tape today.
That is notable indeed. I'm glad you mentioned, and full disclosure, I do own a position in IBIT, trading it more from the technicals versus the fundamental story here in terms of you know broad adoption. I'm not a Bitcoin bull, but I do think that the democratization of crypto, as well as just making it more readily available for client accounts. I know JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon commented on that earlier this week. It's a momentum trader favorite when it acts well. So looking good right now. All right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, let's talk about DoorDash, Ken. Essentially flat on the day, slightly lower, but it's had a pretty nice comeback since hitting that low around 175 after earnings.
Yeah, it recently, you can see it tried to break out from what we call a kind of a double bottom structure here. You had one leg down and then the second leg down where you had good amount of sellers get shaken out of the stock, and it was a short-lived breakout, and then it gapped down on earnings, went below the 50-day moving average, actually flashed a sell signal
Mhm.
from the initial buy point. Now you have a 207.23, marked high, which is a very legitimate buy point here. So DoorDash closed off lows today, got pulled down by the market, but still a name to watch here. We did have this in the leaderboard model portfolio for quite some time. Yep, participated in that nice move, and we took profits, but it's back on our radar. We don't own it now, but if this can get up and out of there, I could easily see this back on the leaders list. So still a name worth watching here. And again, we talked about a lot of selling. Rough day for the broad market, rough day for a lot of growth stocks. But DoorDash fought a good fight here, basically down 0.2% on the day, closed pretty much unchanged from the prior session. So still looks pretty good here.
Okay, next on the list, you mentioned that administration news regarding Nvidia. Here's a look at the chip stock, down 1.9% on the day. Tried to move out of a tight area, but a reversal here for the AI chip stock 1 week ahead of earnings.
Yeah, and again, this is really what started sort of the selling in the broad market just after 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. So again, Jensen Huang, the CEO here, he wants these Chinese AI chip export curbs to be loosened up a little bit, and I don't think the Trump administration is interested in doing that. So that's kind of fueled a sell off in Nvidia. Broadcom, in a very similar setup to Nvidia here, actually tried to clear what looks like a little tight area, little handle area. That got pulled down with the broad market. So it'll be interesting to see how Broadcom and Nvidia, just like the broad market, how they deal with today's reversal. You can see Nvidia down just a little bit in after hours, but these charts both are not broken. Nvidia is not a broken chart, still holding above its short-term moving averages. So no sell signal today by any means.
Yeah, I think the 140 level is a key area of interest to watch for Nvidia as this base continues to develop, and earnings in a week could
That's
be
right.
pivotal, for the market, for the chip sector, for the AI theme. The last couple of quarterly reports, I would say the reactions have been pretty disappointing for Nvidia. We did have that deep seek news, and then the broad market had quite the struggle, Ken, in February and March and the beginning of April, but Nvidia trying to right itself. I know that this report is going to be very closely followed.
Yeah, right when you think that earnings season is over and done with and out the door, we've got a big report from Nvidia looming. That's going to be next Wednesday after the close, and you can see the bottom line earnings and revenue growth has started to slow. Not so much because demand is waning for AI chips, but because the comparisons are just getting more difficult for Nvidia. So we'll see another really strong quarter of growth here, and it'll be interesting to hear what Jensen Huang has to say about demand. He's been pounding the table for several quarters now that the demand for AI is insatiable, and you can see it in the earnings estimates for Nvidia. But we'll have to see what he says about demand, and it will definitely, I agree, be a very important report for the market.
It sure will. Let's round things out with a look at AEM. We mentioned the strength in gold and gold miners also performing exceptionally well this week. AEM, Agnico Eagle Mines, that is up 2.7% on the day, clearing a trend line and continuing its move above the 50-day moving average.
Yeah, this is another example how we could have a former winner on leaderboard, but just because it starts to back off doesn't mean we won't re-add it. So we look at Agnico as one of the strongest performers in the gold group. Nice retaking of the 50-day moving average today, and you can see here this is a lot of these gold producers are making second tests of their 10-week line. You can see the first time Agnico really bounced off that 10-week line with conviction, with some heavy volume. It kind of pulls back gently. Now it's back above the line here. So we thought it made sense to have gold exposure in the model portfolio again. So we took a little taste of AEM today, and we'll see how it
Mhm.
goes as gold stocks continue to see buying demand here.
Yeah, and what I love about these pullbacks to the 50-day and retakes is that's a great level to manage risk, to trade against. If you get a decisive close below that level, maybe it just needs a bit more time, but you're not waiting for a stock to break out to new highs before getting in. So a lot faster if you're wrong or if your timing is off.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly why we initiated it today, because we have a clearly defined stop. It's either going to continue to rally here, or we'd obviously like to see it hold that 10-week moving average. But it looks strong. But we follow sell rules with every stock that we add. So right now it's looking like a good test of the 10-week line, and could be a good environment for gold again. We'll see, especially if these distribution days start to make their presence felt. We don't know if that's going to happen, but seeing renewed demand for gold, so we'll take advantage of it here.
Absolutely. Okay. And then the last item on the agenda for today is to check out Snowflake and the enterprise software group with earnings out after the close. It looks like as of now, investors are liking the results. Shares up 6%, Ken.
Yeah, this is a company that has delivered excellent top line growth for many, many quarters in a row. You can see earnings have declined in recent quarters, and obviously haven't had a chance to look at the report yet. But stock was down 2% in heavy volume ahead of the numbers, and now looks like it's gonna break out with conviction. We'll see if the 6% pre-market or aftermarket gain is going to hold tomorrow, but looks like a good response so far.
Okay. So a potential breakout for the Thursday trading session to keep an eye on. All right, Ken, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure.
And thanks everyone for tuning in. That is it from us for today. But we do have our weekly Investing with IBD podcast hosted by Justin Nielsen live at 5 p.m. Eastern today on YouTube. This week's guest is Charles Harris. He's portfolio manager at O'Neill Global Advisors. And it's going to be very fascinating to get his take on current market conditions, the historical precedents that he's leaning on to give him a roadmap for how to trade the current market. He's going to talk about Tesla and some parallels that he's seeing with Apple, also how he's playing the artificial intelligence theme. So be sure to check out our podcast today, whether it's live on YouTube, the recording at investors.com/videos, or the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. So looking forward to that. And then we'll see you tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details. We will see you there. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.